Destination set. Yeeps Lab, version 3. Obtaining coordinates for suburb wilds. Coordinates secured. Deploying Yeep to destination.
And here we go! I kind of missed the landing there. Hello guys, and welcome to the current version of the lab. The latest update back to the suburbs. We're almost there. This Thursday it'll be coming out. So I have been working with these new variable blocks because these things are amazing. I immediately spent all of my life savings on every single one. So I have two things for you today. A short concept that you may want to immediately start constructing in your community world, and a quick tutorial on something that you may find useful. So let's get into our first topic, our tutorial here. This is a scoreboard. It is the new variable blocks in the game. We have a couple different blocks I can show you guys now. This is the main, this is the main block you'll be wanting to utilize. This block right here is what tells your map there is a variable. Variables are tied to paint colors, just like receivers and zip lines and the like, so you can have a variable for as many paint colors as you own. There are 3 ports. The green one will add 1 point to the scoreboard. The red port will reset it completely to 0, and the blue port will reduce the scoreboard by 1. Then, furthermore, we have this block right here, which will just set the scoreboard to a very specific number. You can set it to 100, you can set it to 20, set it to whatever you want. Now, for those who love to gamble, this is the randomizer. You can set a minimum, and you can set a maximum, and it'll give you a random variable based on that. So by setting the minimum to 1 and the maximum to 10, every time you power this, it'll give you a number between 1 and 10, which is really, really cool because you can set up random, tons of different randomizers. For example, you could create 4 tiles and have one of them blow up and have players choose between one of the 4 corners. We also have the greater than and less than blocks. These blocks are used to test if the score is greater than or less than a specific score. So if you want to make sure that a player has at least 10 points, then you can make sure that if their score is greater than 9, which would be 10 or above, then success. Same thing for less than. We also have the equal to block. This block will only activate if the score is a very, very specific number. However, you can also make it to check if a score is at 0, which is very, very helpful. Then, last but not least, we have, I don't actually remember what this was referred to, but essentially this block will test if the variable itself is the highest value. So if you have four different teams, all with their own variables, you can detect which team has the most points and hook that up to like a team win block or something at the end of the round. Now, we have the scoreboard blocks themselves. These are used for displaying scores. We have these normal, basic, kind of small guys, and the deal with these guys is they can only go up to 99. If your score is 100 and you have a scoreboard that can't have 3 digits, it'll say 99 despite how high the number actually is. And there's also a larger variant of this as well. Now, if you want to go out of the double digits, you'll need one of these guys. These can have up to 4 digits. If you end up exceeding 4 digits, the text will turn to Yeep, and the display here will say Yeep Overflow, though that you have to get incredibly high. There's also the larger variant, because of course there is. Now, there is actually a different version of this 4-digit, which is the clock variant. The only difference between these two is there's a semicolon in the middle if you're trying to create a stopwatch or timer-based system, which is perfect for a lot of different maps. I myself will be including it in my community world because I have a map called Sky Battles, which you should totally check out, in which you get 4 minutes of build time to build a massive sky base and then pit your sky base against the other teams. I will definitely be putting this into that kind of a system. Now that you know what these blocks are, let me show you what you can do with them. So, first things first, I realized a pretty immediate issue with the new system, and to be fair, by the time Lab comes out, we might have a block that does this, because Trass is usually on point with this kind of stuff. But remember at the very beginning how I told you can add 1 point and take away 1 point from the scoreboard? Well, there's a slight issue. You can't add more than 1. If you want to add 10 points, if you want to add 20 points, you can't. You can only add one at a time. So, for example, if you wanted to create a shooting range where maybe the targets in the far back give you like 50 points, meanwhile the up front ones only give you 10, you'll find yourself unable to do that. You could also try to make a system where you have to steal treasure and bring it back to your base, and harder to obtain treasures give you more points. We kind of are missing a block to do that. However, that's where this system comes in. As you can see, our score is at 100, but if I press this button, you'll notice that quite quickly, our score decreases by exactly 10 points. We can also increase it by exactly 10 points. So this system allows us to add and subtract specific numbers. For example, if I want to remove 25 from our main scoreboard here, I can do just that. Now, this is a pretty simple system. It's not too terribly complicated, and it's also not flawless. You'll see the very first problem with this system is it's slow. I can't make it any faster. It is a very slow system and takes ages. The other problem is because it's slow, if you were to press the button multiple times, it won't be an accurate count anymore. You see, technically, I've pressed that 3 times, so we'd be somewhere in the negatives or something, because, you know, yeah, we'd be a negative 25 if this were accurate, but instead we're at 11, which is, well, not ideal. But anyways, this isn't perfect, but it is the best, or more or less the only way of doing things. So let me show you how this is done. Over here, we have the system for subtracting. Now, it actually took me quite a lot of work to get this timed right, so ingrain this pattern in your memory, because if you even so much as place these blocks on the other side of the wire, it'll skip numbers and it won't be in 100% accurate. So anyways, what we have here is, first off, neon wire. If you are not aware, neon wire has faster traveling signals than normal wire. This is important because we're trying to make our system as fast as possible to mitigate inaccuracy. So, this is the main input of our circuit. It is the... There are cows over there. Hi, cows. This is the main input of our circuit. It is the equal sign. Equal to sign. Anyways, so the equal to block is checking to see if our scoreboard is at 0. Now, orange is our subtraction circuit. So it is saying, hey, are we at 0? Is this completely empty? If so, freeze the circuit by powering all of it. Then, if at any point in time we make sure that, if at any point in time we change this to not be 0, this circuit turns off, which releases the circuit and creates a infinite spiraling loop, as you can see. Now, there is a limit to how fast these things can fire, but this loops as fast as possible. Essentially, by depowering with a singular delay, we make this depower and repower itself on a constant loop. Again, this is what's most important, where these blocks are placed. This is a wire hooked up to the subtraction side, so it will reduce the subtraction circuit by 1. Our subtraction variable is decreased by 1. Then also our main circuit will also be reduced by 1. And notice how this is a lot closer to the equal sign. That is very important. So we put 10 in our circuit, which makes the equal sign turn off. It then infinitely loops, subtracting both circuits at the exact same time until the subtraction circuit reaches 0, in which case it stops moving. So, as you can see, we should end up with 69. Sweet. We also have nearly the exact same circuit for our addition. It is the exact same circuit minus 1 difference. As you can see, our yellow variable is rotated slightly. This is simply because we're hooking it up into the green port instead of the red. Otherwise, it is built exactly the same. Again, here is a overhead view of the circuit, so you can copy it in your own worlds should you want to use it. There is something very important when it comes to adding these variables, which is this massive behemoth. You may have noticed that I haven't just hooked up a button into an adding block. The reason why I didn't do that, you'd think immediately this should be the simplest solution, right? Well, let's reset our score and let's subtract by exactly 10 points, all right? Subtract by 10, press the button, And so now, theoretically, our score should decrease by 10. But you'll notice it doesn't. It decreased by 15. Now, the reason why is because these blocks actually don't pulse. They stay on. This means the score stays at 10 for as long as this button is pressed. Only when the button unpresses does the circuit finally manage to decrease the scoreboard, which is a little unfortunate, but what that means is we need to make a short pulser. Now, actually making a short pulse is incredibly simple. It's just this circuit here. It's nothing complicated. It's a pretty simple circuit. We have an AND gate. We have a NOR gate. That's it. You put your button or whatever input you have on this side, and what it'll do is it'll turn on. The AND gate will say, okay, both signals are on, and it'll give us a power source, but then this wire will catch up to turn off the NOR gate, which means the circuit will turn off. What we get out of this is a very fast circuit that gives a very singular short pulse. That is very crucial for this circuit because we want to make sure that it starts draining immediately so that we don't lose our count. You'll notice I use neon wires here too, but on the back side I didn't. That is actually because I use an extra block. See, I am hooking this up to the reset port, which resets our subtraction to 0 just before it sets it to 10. The reason why is because I was noticing a little bit of inconsistency where sometimes this circuit would entirely depower. These cows are just, there's more. There's more. Where are these cows coming? Where are they coming from? Oh no, I've been talking till the cows come home. Anyways, the entire circuit relies on the residual power of this turning off to make a loop. So I noticed there was inconsistency where this loop would entirely turn off, and because it wasn't decreasing this number, the number would never reach 0, and if the number never reaches 0, this never turns back on, so it just freezed up everything. So what this does is it really quickly sets the circuit to 0, guaranteeing that this circuit is on, and then it sets it to the number you want to drain, which is important. I apologize if I'm not explaining this perfectly. I'm not always the best at getting my thoughts across, but just know that you may need to build a circuit like this. And again, for giving you a clear view of the circuit, we have our input going into this 2x3 quick pulser. The quick pulser has a singular wire going into the reset port of your variable. And after that, one wire length later, oh no. Oh no, that port is uneven. No! Trass Games, how could you? No! Trass, you couldn't. How dare you? The port, it's not even. No! So anyways, yeah, one wire length later, you set this to how much you want to add or subtract by. That is how we make a system here, and this button, if you're wondering, is just setting the score back to 100. So anyways, that is how you can subtract and add multiple variables at once. Again, it's not flawless, but you can actually activate the two of these at the exact same time without issue, which is nice. Why isn't my circuit working? Why didn't... Okay, I don't know why that circuit broke. I wonder if it just was weird because I repainted some things. That was probably it. I probably just repainted some things. Anyways, we should land on 100. Yeah, okay, so ignore that. It works. That was just weird bugginess. So anyways, let's move on to the second point of the video. This is my beautiful mini-game concept, which we can now create in Yeeps. Welcome to King of the Hill. So, how King of the Hill works is 4 teams on opposite sides of the map try to maintain control of the center point of the map. So, how this works is let's say you're on yellow team, right? You run from yellow team's base to the center of the map and fight off any kinds of people who might be in the center. And your goal is to press this button right here to claim ownership of the center. Now, as you can see, every second, your team gains 1 point. But if another team member, or if a different team member comes in to claim the center for their team, you'll notice yellow's no longer making any points, and blue is the one gaining. You also might notice the lights up here. The yellow light is on, but none of the others. This is the team that's currently in the lead. Whoever has the most points will have their light illuminated for all to see. The fact that we can make a working King of the Hill map is really, really cool. Now, there's two ways you can handle the winning. You could simply have maybe a 2-minute round, and whoever has the most points at the end wins. Or you could say once they reach a certain amount, they immediately win. So, you know, whoever has the most points by the end of 2 minutes, or whoever reaches 100 points. How you do that is you'd simply take an equal sign and say, let's say if yellow team is equal to 100 points, we'll just hook this into a team win block. I don't actually own the team win block, so ignore this. If yellow reaches 100 points, then instantly make yellow team win the round. Or, otherwise, we can utilize these blocks right here so that when the round ends at 2 minutes, we check which team has the most points and we allow them to win. So, pretty simple stuff. But as you can see, this is working and it's really cool. You have scoreboards that keep track of how many seconds each team has held the center for, which is pretty darn cool. And as you can hear, I added a ticking sound effect. I did that just with a cymbal hooked up to a sound tap and doubled the speed with the little rabbit block. And there's also a little sound when the ownership changes. So anyways, let's take a look at how this was actually built. First and foremost, we have the team-only buttons. This makes sure that you can only claim the center for your team and not accidentally on the other. It's actually pretty simple. It may look a little complicated because it's compact, but it's actually very, very simple. This was just a little reset circuit for my testing, but here's how it works. When you press the button, it will go down here and it'll turn on an SR latch. A second circuit will then turn off every team's SR latch. So this is a pulse extender block, and it's very important. The only purpose of this block right here is to simply prevent this circuit from powering other buttons. So you can ignore that. I'm using this as a one-way. Anyways, what we're doing is we're turning off every single SR latch, and then by the time this circuit depowers, it will no longer be disabling the SR latches, but it will still be enabling the SR latch for the team who pressed the button. Then what we do is we hook that SR latch into a clock pulsing block, which as long as this block is being powered, it will create a pulse once every second. We then wire that up into the adding port of our scoreboard system here, and we also have a little tick going off every time that the score is modified. So this is a very simple system, actually. It's not terribly complicated, and it should be pretty easily reproducible in your maps. And it's honestly a really, really fun concept. The other thing is you can build this tower multiple times and it won't interfere with other towers. So you could set 4 different points across the map for the teams to try to fight across, which would make a very, very interesting King of the Hill type of map. Ultimately, I think this is going to be really, really cool, and I have a feeling a lot of people are going to enjoy it. So, yeah, you can create 3 of these, 4 of these all across the map and have players battle for control and just continue raising points. Naturally, having multiple towers claimed means you'll be getting more points per second. Then I also have hooked up into the reset circuit our little sound effect. But as you can see, we press blue team, resets all the SR latches, and then finally enables the one on that side. And if we do this, resets the SR latches and enables the red SR latch. Pretty efficient system. See, it's very functional. So yeah, I honestly find this to be amazing. I've been loving this, and I hope to see a lot of builds. I hope to see a lot of minigames making use of these variables because they're awesome. But anyways, that's the 2 concepts that I have here for you guys today. I hope they've been helpful to you. I hope they'll help you guys build some cool community worlds. This is pretty much it for me. I'm I'm so excited, honestly. I can't wait. My brain is bursting with ideas for my community world, which is Code Among Us, by the way. This couldn't have come at a better time. I'm currently working on a new map for my community world where you have to try and conquer a very dangerous tower, and having the ability to keep track of the number of enemies spawned and defeated is going to be a huge help. So, yeah. Trass has hit it out of the park with this one. Pun absolutely intended. So, yeah, that's it. I'm gonna head back out of the lab, back to the main version of the game. I'll see you guys later. To the sky!